Australians of Reddit, what is your great-great-great-great-grandparents' crime? My great-grandmother told me that they were three brothers that had a ship and would acquire goods and sell them off for profit. Pirates, they were pirates. Edit 1. So in reading some comments it would make more sense that the brothers were smugglers rather than pirates. Nan did gloss over on their history, and she's long gone now for me to ask her. Edit 2. Rip inbox. Most upvoted comment is about my GGGGG grand uncles plundering booty and plundering booties. Dude stole some bread and now I live on this giant island. Gotta eat to live, gotta steal to eat. Otherwise we'd get along. Wrong. Oh, it's sad Aladdin's hit the bottom. He's become the one-man rise in crime. I blame parents except he hasn't got 'em. Gotta eat to live, gotta steal to eat, tell you all about it when I got that 5. Called a lord in parliament a mangy cunt. Australia was the right place for him, frankly. Edit, oh, thank you so much for the gold. Excuse me while I go and have a shoey to celebrate. For anyone not clear on what that is, it's a beer drunk out of one's own shoe. Edit 2. People have been doing shoeys long before Daniel came along. Now if you call anybody in parliament a mangy cunt it's just the general consensus among us at this point. Tony Abbott, I've been called worse. Now, someone hand me an onion, I feel like a snack. Our former Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau, current PM's dad, was once called an asshole by Nixon. His comment my only response was that I had been called worse things by better people. Edit, another story from the Goff files of Pet. When he was in the House of Commons once, our lower federal body of government, he got into a heated debate with a member of the opposition. Trudeau is said to have mouthed the words "duck off" to him, which caused a bit of a scandal. When pressed by television reporters on the matter, Trudeau would only freely admit having moved his lips, answering the question, "What were you thinking, when you moved your lips?" by rhetorically asking in return, "What is the nature of your thoughts, gentlemen, when you say fuddle-duddle or something like that?" God, you guys. Ball tampering. Edit, Ironman BTW. In the sport of cricket, ball tampering is an action in which a fielder illegally alters the condition of the ball. For my fellow Americans. As my family will tell you, my ancestor was transported for theft of a goose, however they gloss over the fact the goose's previous owner had to be strenuously convinced to relinquish it. So less theft and more battery. Stole a horse. I guess modern day equivalent of GTA. Damn you Stormcloaks. Skyrim was fine until you came along. Empire was nice and lazy. If they hadn't been looking for you, I could have stolen that horse and been halfway to Hammerfell. Where are you from, horse thief? Edit, Happy Cake Day. Rorikstead, I am from Rorikstead. A Nord's last thoughts should be of home. My third great-grandfather emigrated from Prussia in the 1890s because he, apparently, was sick of the amount of wars Prussia got into. That's some foresight. Prussia had a few more in them at that point. Where some states have an army, the Prussian army has a state. Voltaire. I read in a family tree book that one of my ancestors stole a pair of silk baby booties. Pretty sure it was from the house she was working at. That's the kind of thing where years later they find the booties had fallen behind a dresser. Stole a sack of flour from his aunt's store as a joke. The joke being this bitch is so anal that she would notice one sack of flour missing. She did. He got convicted and sentenced to transportation to Australia. That man was named Henry Cable. Was the first convict to be pardoned. He was also the first settler to win a court case, having sued the captain of his transportation vessel for stealing all of his belongings on the journey from England. He ended up owning large swaths of the Botany Bay region and ran a world-class trading company. Now my question is, where the duck did all that fat early settler money go? Bonus Wikipedia page. Edit, cause interest. Here is another link. I can't find any info on his crime other than burglary. I seem to remember reading the anecdote about the theft of the flour in a book about him that I believe was written by another ancestor. I don't know what it was called, but if anyone has any more accurate info, I'd love to hear it. Perhaps the courts awarded it to all his illegitimate children because that guy ducked. That guy ducked op is a living proof. Stealing a pair of trousers. Sentenced to 7 years transportation. The Old Bailey transcripts can be read online, which is pretty cool. His daughter married the son of the town mayor, so I can only imagine the disapproval from the free settlers' side of the family. Edit, the other sides of the family all freely emigrated to Australia in the early 1800s. I can find stories about some of them online, including a 5X great-uncle who killed himself by looking into the barrel of a shotgun while cleaning it, and a family reunion of 4 brothers 27 years after they lost touch when they emigrated to Australia. One of the brothers posted a monthly ad in the paper asking if anyone had news of the missing brother. A great-nephew of my convict ancestor died on the landing of Gallipoli, so it's all very Australian. The Old Bailey transcripts can be read online, which is pretty cool. Vailp. There goes the rest of the month year. Not actually a direct ancestor of mine, but a guy killed the squire's bullock. He was so scared of being deported to Australia that he changed his name slightly, hopped on a boat, and sailed himself to Australia. So when he arrived, he'd be a free man. Except the ship wrecked off the coast of Victoria, so he and a few others struggled ashore. In order to survive, he shot a bullock he came across for them to eat. It turned out to be a bullock belonging to the guy who owned that piece of land. Again. Much later, he married that same guy's daughter. They named a street after him. This one was quite a ride. Edit, this is now my second highest upvoted comment. Reddit is weird sometimes lol. Stealing a jug from a public house in County Cork. That could get you sent literally around the world to an enormous penal colony? Sweet Jesus. Most of the people who were sent here were convicted of crimes like stealing bread or pickpocketing. They hanged the mega guilty criminals. 1 Englishman stole bread, 1 Englishman stole tobacco and a sheep, and 1 was a feisty Irish prostitute. Prostitution was not a transportable offense, but according to Ann Summers, Michael Sturma and Hughes, all the women were classified as whores even if they weren't prostitutes. Being Irish was the transportable offense. 1 guy was sent for trying to steal the same duck 3 times. Said it, found the transcript, may not have been the same duck. nationalarchives.gov.uk. Ah, so who ducks with ducks as Aussie ancestors? Nope. He's an immortal undying soul ducking ducks over the course of all of human history. Blew up a British barracks. Irishman. I'm surprised he wasn't hanged for that, at the time. Those considered the ringleaders were hanged as far as I know. At one point when the ratio of men to women was too high, they went around to a bunch of workhouses and orphanages and took any girl aged 13 and above and shipped them to Australia. They didn't need the excuse of having committed a crime, they were poor and Irish and therefore cattle. I rarely get involved in discussions like this because I have a long family history from both sides of where some people like to draw a line, but fact is fact. Irish were used to populate colonies with a workforce. When slavery was outlawed by Britain, which was very progressive for the time, they used other excuses like they were criminals, or in the case of these children they were burdens on the state and marrying them would provide stability for them. I had an Irish orphan ancestor as well. Have you ever visited Hyde Park Burkes in Sydney? They have thousands of artifacts from when the barracks was the home to the girls when they first arrived. The rats collected most of the items and made nests out of them, resulting in one of the largest collections of intact colonial textiles in Australia. My ancestor was there, but I also was a tour guide in the museum. I remember a story from school, social studies teacher, of a very rich Sydney family that traced their family only to find out their convict ancestor got deported for carnal knowledge of a sheep. There was that post a while ago that said something about how people back then, when they get caught stealing a sheep, would claim that they were having sex with it because it is less hefty of a crime than stealing a sheep. Same thing for kidnapping too, I think. He stole some clothes worth 40 shillings, got 7 years for it and sent here. He ended up marrying a convict woman who came over on the Lady Penrhyn, having 13 kids, and killing himself at age 54. He's got his own Wikipedia page, n.wikipedia.org, and everything. Edit, you can read the article, or famlypass.com, that describes his suicide at the link. I find it quite fascinating to read an account of a suicide in a newspaper from 1818. It didn't occur to me that they would be quite so frank about it back then, but there you go. I like how he ran out of names for the girls, so here comes Anne, Mary, and Mary Ann. It says in the article Mary and her twin died when they were 2. Sounds more like memorializing the name, rather than reusing it. Yeah, naming younger kids after older ones who died was common. You'll find tons of examples in old family trees.